Hi LEGO fans! After the thrill and excitement of our first flying lesson, we're sticking with the Philosopher's Stone theme. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our friends, but a great deal more to stand up to a trio of slobbering heads full of fangs. At the risk of being killed, or worse, expelled, today I'm going to be unboxing, speed building, and reviewing set number 76387, Hogwarts Fluffy Encounter from LEGO Harry Potter. This 397-piece set recreates the room on the third floor corridor which houses Hagrid's Cerberus, affectionately known as Fluffy. He loves nothing more than taking a nap when you play him a bit of music. I should not have said that. This is not the first time Fluffy has been immortalised in LEGO. As it would be rude not to, we'll compare the two sets side by side later in the video and figure out which Fluffy is a good boy. Yes you are, you're a good boy Fluffy! As well as the mythical Cerberus, this 20th anniversary set includes 4 magically magnificent minifigures. The boy what gone done lived, Harry Potter, insufferable know-it-all, Hermione Granger, Ronald Bilious Weasley, and an almost identical but shiny Hermione. One major problem with this set is what the minifigures are wearing. When Harry, Ron and Hermione face Fluffy, they're all wearing normal clothes. LEGO chose to include minifigures wearing Gryffindor robes. For that heinous crime, I have to rate LEGO T for Troll. We'll take a closer look at each of the minifigures later in the video and compare them to their on-screen counterparts as shown earlier in the movie. If you want to recreate Harry, Ron and Hermione's encounter with Fluffy, you'll need to withdraw $40 US, 50 Canadian dollars, 40 euros, or 35 Great British pounds from your vault at Gringotts. Over on the back of the box we get a closer look at what's inside. As the name of the set hints with the prefix Hogwarts, this is a modular set and can be combined with other sets from the 2021 Hogwarts range. The biggest part of the set is the room off the Forbidden Corridor which just about contains Fluffy. After escaping through the trapdoor, there's another chamber containing the second of 7 defences to keep Voldemort away from the Philosopher's Stone. I'm not totally convinced, but apparently this is Devil's Snare. Next to that, an empty room which should probably contain flying keys, and then bizarrely, a tower room which LEGO describes as a magic practice room. It seems they may have run out of ideas. The set also contains 2 random collectible wizard cards so you can grow your collection of duplicates, and the magic harp used by Professor Quirinus Quirrell to put Fluffy to sleep. Unfortunately, sorry knife, this box has punchy tabs so we're going to have to destroy the box to get at the LEGO. Aloha Mora! Here's everything you get inside the box. We've got 3 numbered bags of LEGO, an 87-page instruction booklet, and a mercifully modest sticker sheet. I'm going to go ahead and put together 76387 Hogwarts Fluffy Encounter, and today this is going to be a 90-second speed build. And here is the completed 76387 Hogwarts Fluffy Encounter from LEGO Harry Potter. Build time today was just under 54 minutes and not too challenging, except for the stickering. Applying a sticker to the concave interior of a cone is tougher than Snape's potions class. We're going to start by taking a look at the exterior of the building and then try linking this up with some of the other 2021 Hogwarts sets. After that, we'll get to the good stuff inside. We'll check out the interiors, get up close and covered in slobber as we become friends with Fluffy, and we'll be reenacting crufts as we decide if the 2001 or 2021 Fluffy is the best. After a quick recap of the backstory, we'll take a look at the 2001 and 2021 sets side by side before taking a close-up look at those minifigures. And because I love disappointment, we'll be checking out the wizard tiles to see which ones I still haven't got. For now, let's get these characters out of the way so we can take a look at the building. It's a pretty generic chunk of a Hogwarts-style building and doesn't seem to be a specific part of the castle. In this specific configuration, it stands about 12.5 inches or 32 centimeters tall. It also breaks down into a number of separate components which you can reassemble in different ways. Although this configuration looks great from the front, it places the Forbidden Chamber on the ground floor, and that's just not right. To position the trapdoor above the Devil's Snare, you need to put the third floor corridor on the second floor. This is all very confusing. Also confusing is why we have an upper floor balcony right next to the foundations. I won't even get started on why the magic practice room, which is clearly a turret, is all on its own. While the structure of the set may be questionable, the aesthetics fit well with the other sets from the Hogwarts range. This section from the base of the castle looks really good with that rocky outcrop. It incorporates some olive green pieces which look like moss or algae. But what I dislike about this are those exposed studs. It just looks unfinished. As was often the custom in ancient times, the castle is built straight onto a rocky foundation. It should work really nicely if you choose to combine this with the Chamber of Secrets set. The other 8x8 section is rather more decorative and seems to include a balcony. The gold decorative panel is a really nice inclusion, and it's always nice to get some of these 1x1 pyramid elements. The arched pieces work really well with these Hogwarts sets, and I love the fact that these are still decorative when viewed from the wrong side. Other nice details include textured 1x2 bricks, and the contrasting cutout details along the roofline. On top of the 8x8 sections, there are just a few exposed studs. These allow the 8x16 third floor corridor to sit on top. This part of the castle is reminiscent of the Great Hall with those large arched windows. In the centre we have a stickered part which seems to represent a gilded stone shield. This is of course the Hogwarts house crest with all the house animals. The same sticker also appeared on the Hogwarts Chamber of Secrets set. The rest of the detail is pretty unremarkable. There are more textured bricks to provide a bit of contrast, and some stickers to keep LEGO's graphic designers in a job. The roof is a separate modular element which fits on top of an 8x16 module, or a pair of 8x8 modules. In keeping with the 20th anniversary theme, the roof is made out of sand green bricks. This is a throwback to the original 4709 Hogwarts Castle from 2001. Like we observed earlier, there are some studs on display and it gives it a kind of unfinished look. The green roof does look good, complete with all of those skylights, and this provides some good continuity if you decide to combine it with the Chamber of Secrets set. The final piece of the jigsaw is what LEGO calls the magic practice room. This looks best if you stick it on top of one of the 8x8 sections. This leaves room inside for some stuff that we'll take a look at later. The pinnacle of the ever-narrowing turret is topped with a sand green unicorn horn. We find two more of these at the base of the turret. As a standalone set, this is maybe not the best of the bunch, but it does provide some useful modules if you wish to combine it with other sets. I used 76386 Hogwarts Polyjuice Potion Mistake, 76389 Hogwarts Chamber of Secrets, and 76395 Hogwarts First Flying Lesson. I would have used 40452 Hogwarts Gryffindor Dorms, but it just arrived and I haven't had a chance to build it yet. With a little creative arrangement, the end result is most pleasing. That's all very fancy, but let's get back to what we have in this set. Of course it's all fine and dandy from the outside, but we're interested in what lies within. We've got this tool section made out of 4 modules which houses Fluffy, and the somewhat less convincing magic practice room. I don't remember seeing this in the movies. You'll definitely need an Order of Merlin first class to be able to put this sticker on straight. Mounting a sticker on the inside of a curved surface is almost impossible. That said, I do like the rune chart with the Lego brick in the middle. If you look very carefully, you'll also see the letters LEGO around the outside. The other piece of parchment hanging from the wall is a lot less obvious. My best guess is that this is some kind of potions recipe. In the centre of the room we find a table complete with some potions ingredients. There's a nicely printed jar with unknown contents, an attractive flask with crystal stopper, and a candle, because while wizards may be very smart, they've not invented light bulbs yet. For brewing a refreshing cup of tea or a draught of living death, we've dispensed with the cauldron in exchange for a saucepan over an open flame. Adding to the randomness, in the roof there's a window which doesn't look out over anything. But it's good to see that Hogwarts always puts student safety first, and they've installed some safety railings. Hermione couldn't possibly fall to her death from here. Whilst it's unquestionably entertaining to see an insufferable know-it-all fall to her death from a high tower, I'm sure you're more interested in Fluffy. After all, how often is it you come across a three-headed dog even if you're in the trade? Hagrid supplied Fluffy as one of 7 defences for the Philosopher's Stone. According to the movie, he purchased Fluffy from an Irish fella, but in the book, Hagrid buys him from a Greek chappie down at the Leaky Cauldron. In Greek mythology, Cerberus, often referred to as the Hound of Hades, is a multi-headed dog that guards the gates of the underworld to prevent the dead from leaving. This illustration by William Blake shows a rather happy-looking Fluffy, although if you happen to be this unfortunate soul, your experience may differ. The Philosopher's Stone which Fluffy was helping to guard was a legendary substance which could be used to create the elixir of life. It was created by famed alchemist Nicholas Flamel, who was almost 700 years old at the time of his death. Fearing the murderous dark wizard Voldemort would try and steal the stone from vault number 713 at Gringotts, Dumbledore sent lovable oaf Hagrid to pick it up, and it was stored in an underground chamber at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, protected by 7 magical defences. The first was Fluffy, the three-headed dog, as supplied by Hagrid. The second chamber contained Devil's Snare provided by Herbology Professor Pomona Sprout. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Chamber 3, devised by Phileas Flitwick, contained a door impervious to the Aloe Amora charm and a flock of winged keys. Only one would open the door and would take some skill to catch. This chamber was also featured in one of the 2001 wave of LEGO Harry Potter sets. Chamber 4 was a chessboard created by Minerva McGonagall. Hermione, Harry and Ron had to take the place of chess pieces and play their way across the room. This is recreated in a 2021 LEGO Harry Potter set, but that's a video for another day. Chamber 5, omitted from the movie, was home to a foul-smelling mountain troll courtesy of Quirinus Quirrell. Also missing from the movie was Chamber 6, furnished by Severus Snape and containing a potions riddle. Solving the riddle would allow you to traverse magical flames which block the exits from the chamber. Finally you reach Chamber 7, in which Dumbledore placed the Mirror of Erised. This is where Harry caught up with Quirrell, who could not overcome the final defence. The only way to obtain the stone was to look into the mirror and see yourself possessing but not using the stone. As such, this did not end well for Quirrell. After that deviation, let's get back to the devilishly dangerous dog. Fluffy is cruelly crammed into a chamber off the forbidden 3rd floor corridor. When Fluffy pops outside for a bathroom break, there's not a lot here. In the corner we find a chicken leg which is nowhere near enough to satisfy a 5-ton dog, and on the other side of the chamber we find a magical harp. There's also a trapdoor which Fluffy is meant to be guarding. If Fluffy knows how to do one thing really well, it's guarding trapdoors. But as Hagrid lets slip during a conversation with Harry, Ron and Hermione, take Fluffy for example, just play him a bit of music and he falls straight to sleep. Unfortunately, Quirrell also knew this and used an enchanted harp to play music so he could sneak past the slumbering Cerberus. The harp is made of 14 LEGO elements and reminds me of the Irish harp you see on the front of a Guinness can. Well, this should make the rest of the video a little bit more interesting. Does this qualify as product placement? Am I going to get demonetized? Who knows? Anyway, back to the LEGO. The strings are pretty unsophisticated and formed by a transparent sticker over a transparent LEGO piece. The angle of the soundboard is created using a pivoting piece, and the pillar is made from cylindrical LEGO elements. I like the use of gold details, but as the Muggles would say, this is nothing to write home about. What I find really annoying about this is the base. It has a curved end, which means it can't snap onto a LEGO base plate. When you put it inside the chamber, it sits awkwardly on top of the studs and has a tendency to fall over. Fluffy is rather more impressive, or at least he is from this angle. The heads are mounted on ball joints, which is great for posability but looks terrible. If only those grey socket pieces were brown, it would look a lot better. The head mould is super detailed and really does look like Fluffy from the movie. It's also hollow so it doesn't take up too much plastic, and there's a hole at the back for connecting the ball joint. It is a really nice thing and also nicely printed. Each of the heads has a different design and shows the dog in various stages of slumber. This head is still asleep and has a large trail of drool. The middle head looks kind of odd with one eye open and one eye closed. My favourite of the three is this one, which is fully awake and ready to get down to business. I've got to be honest, I think this would look better if all three heads were fully awake. The rest of Fluffy looks like it was designed by Boston Dynamics. You're looking a bit off colour there, Fluffy. Fluffy does have a tail, but it's not very good for wagging. The legs are all identical and these come in left and right pairs. These are articulated and can be adjusted at the hip and also at the knee. With all those points of articulation, Fluffy has a number of dynamic poses. He has the get the hell out of my third floor corridor room pose, the shh, Fluffy's asleep pose, and he can sit like a good boy. Fluffy also does tricks. He can play dead or cause other people to be dead, and Fluffy is especially good at shaking paws when his favourite Aunt Bella comes around. But how good is this 2021 reboot of the 2001 classic Fluffy? Whilst these are similar in size, they could not be more different. Old Fluffy was built from just 4 pieces. Technically 5 if you use a screwdriver to pop off the legs. The 3 heads are fixed in place with the exception of the hinged upper parts. These are nicely moulded with more detail than the 2021 version. What these lack is the printing. Of course, 3-headed dogs don't live forever, and eventually it was time for Fluffy number 1 to go to a farm in upstate New York. The new version gains a lot of posability, but it doesn't look as realistic. In terms of looking like a real dog, this is about as convincing as Muffet the Daggett. Are you guys still with me? Muffet was a robot dog who appeared in Battlestar Galactica back in the late 1970s. The Daggett was actually played by a chimpanzee in a costume. Man, the 70s were f***ed up. While we can't teach an old dog new tricks, I have to agree with my Instagram followers that the old Fluffy is the best of the two. Fluffy's chamber is not nearly big enough, but at least you get the sense of what happened within this scene. Another big problem with this set is that the kids are wearing the wrong clothes. If you check out the movie, they were not wearing their Hogwarts robes. With Fluffy bearing down upon the trio, there's only one thing for it. It's time to go down the trapdoor. Did they not see the warnings on 1980s TV? After escaping the slobbering, snapping fangs of Fluffy, things haven't really got any better, but at least it was a nice soft landing. The second chamber contained a thriving crop of Devil's Snare as supplied by Professor Sprout. Devil's Snare is actually a real plant, although not quite as murderous. Daturus germonium is a species of flowering plant in the nightshade family. In the wizarding world, it's a murderous vine whose propensity to kill you depends on how hard you struggle. Judging by Ron's state of relaxation, death should come pretty quickly. The choice of colour for the vines is pretty good and matches the movie quite accurately. These are snapped into 3 clips mounted on the base plate. The bone appears to be some artistic license on the part of LEGO. I did watch back the movie, but I didn't find any human remains. Devil's Snare also made an appearance in the Forbidden Corridor set from 2001. It was also located immediately below the trapdoor, but had a very much more pleasing action feature. After exhausting all of their creative efforts on the Devil's Snare, the chamber next door is a bit of a letdown. I was hoping to see some winged keys or maybe even a broomstick, but maybe LEGO is saving those for another set. This chamber is empty except for a couple of telescopes which have spontaneously erupted into flame. It's nice decoration but doesn't add anything to the story. One last detail I almost forgot to mention are the candles in the roof above Fluffy. These are quite crudely constructed and attached to a clip on the wall. This one is held in place quite nicely, but this one unfortunately is very loose. I've got a feeling the 1x2 with the clip may be defective. When I heard that LEGO was making a new set containing Fluffy, I was excited, but I've got to confess I'm a little bit disappointed with this. The building seems like a random collection of parts, there isn't enough room for poor little Fluffy, and the devil's snare looks like it needs some miracle grow. There's also the issue of Fluffy looking like some kind of Franken dog, but I think you know my thoughts on that. Putting this side by side with the 2001 version, I think there's no comparison. Sure, it may be missing some walls and some architectural features, but everything about this screams come and play with me. Although stylistically different, LEGO has included the moving staircases which led the trio to Fluffy. There's a convincing looking door for practicing Aloha Mora, if you forget the key of course, and I love the custom printed flute just in case you need to calm the beast. But possibly my favourite thing is the interactive devil's snare. Throw in a bat, some spider webs, and Aragog's minions, and you've got yourself a cool little LEGO set. This is an adequate LEGO Harry Potter set, but definitely not the best of the wave. For not much more, you should be able to find a good used example of the 2001 set on eBay. I know which one of these I prefer, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The new version is definitely useful for making a large-scale Hogwarts build. But that is not all. Oh no, that is not all. We also get 4 magically magnificent minifigures. A HP 276 Gold 20th Anniversary Hermione Granger, HP 281 Harry Potter, HP 282 Hermione Granger, and HP 283 Ronald Weasley. While each of these minifigures is technically an exclusive, you can recreate the non-gold trio from other parts. We're starting with the boy what gone done lived, it's Harry Potter. He comes with a nice and supple dark brown 11-inch wand made of holly with a phoenix feather core. He comes with the short non-posable child legs. These are not printed and are a very standard part. Thankfully the torso printing makes up for the plain legs. These show Harry wearing a white shirt, Gryffindor tie, Gryffindor school jumper, and Gryffindor emblazoned robes. We've seen this used before for Colin Creevey, Ginny Weasley, Neville Longbottom, and you'll see it in a moment on Hermione Granger. Some more printing around the back picks out the hood and the red lining. The hair is very familiar, and this design appears on 19 different Harry Potter minifigures. The thing I really like about this is the cutout for the lightning-shaped scar. It's a similar story with the printed head which has been used for 12 Harry Potter minifigures. The main expression shows a smiling Harry complete with trademark glasses and bushy eyebrows. But my favourite is the one around the back which shows Harry in a state of complete terror. We've already spoken about why this is a completely terrible choice of costume for the minifigure, but at least it's a step up from the light grey used in the previous set. Ignoring the fact that Harry wasn't wearing his robes when he was facing off against Fluffy, the printed minifigure is actually a really good recreation of the costume that Daniel Radcliffe wore in the movie. While there are many Harry Potter minifigures, this is a good one. Next we have Muggle-born daughter of 2 dentists and insufferable know-it-all, Hermione Jean Granger. She's basically Harry Potter with a head transplant. Her wand is 10 3/4 inches and made of vinewood with a dragon heartstring core. She's got the same stubby little legs and Gryffindor printed torso that we saw on the Harry Potter minifigure. Apart from the face and hair, these are identical minifigures. Apart from the obvious use of Sleek Easy's hair potion, the hair is a perfect match for Hermione. It's a very common element and is used in 13 Hermione minifigures. Heck, they even used it in a book. I really will buy anything with LEGO Harry Potter written on it. The facial print is equally common and used in 10 Hermione minifigures. She's got a nice confident smile on this side, but looks rather unsure when we get to the alternate expression. As pretty much all the kids wear the same clothes when they're studying at Hogwarts, hence the word uniform, it's no surprise that the minifigure bears a close resemblance to the character as portrayed by Emma Watson. It is missing that really frizzy hair which appeared in about 2 or 3 scenes in the first movie, but otherwise this is a first-rate but not very exciting Hermione minifigure. After Harry Granger and Hermione Potter turning up in the same clothes, we have a slight variation in the costume for Ronald Bilious Weasley. The word bilious comes from his uncle who apparently went loopy after seeing a Grim. Ron's wand, not yet spell-taped after its encounter with the Whomping Willow, is 12 inches, made of ash and has a unicorn hair core. Like Hermione and Harry, the legs are on the small side. But refreshingly, he does have a different torso print. This first appeared on the HP 314 Harry Potter minifigure. It also comes with the HP 315 Hermione Granger minifigure which comes inside this polybag. I didn't even have to open the polybag to show you what the minifigure looks like, I just swapped Ron and Hermione's heads. In fact, we can do this to see how Ron and Hermione's kids are going to turn out. Man, I do go off on some tangents. The torso is a really nice print and shows the Gryffindor robes unfastened. It gives us a better look at the school jumper. Printing around the back is slightly different and shows the hood with the red lining. The hair is the signature Weasley red and used on many minifigures. The one thing we're missing is a signature Rupert Grint grin. This is replaced with a cute smile and some freckles. The alternate expression is very familiar and shows a terrified Ron Weasley. Well, if you were encountering a three-headed dog for the first time, I'm sure you'd be terrified too. The minifig is a decent recreation of the character as portrayed in the movie. It is a shame that the costumes don't match what we saw in the movie, but these really are a very cute trio of minifigures. Setting the gold standard, however, is the 20th anniversary Hermione Granger minifigure. She comes with her very own gold base plate, or you can display her on the stand that came with the Hogwarts Moments set. Like all of the 20th anniversary minifigures, she comes with a rather splendid gold wand. The legs are the short, non-posable child's legs, and the printed gold Gryffindor torso is the same one used on the 20th anniversary Ron and Harry minifigures. There is some printing around the back celebrating 20 years of LEGO Harry Potter, but it is partially obscured by Hermione's impressive mane of hair. Also impressive on these gold minifigures is the metallic printing, which really pops when you angle them towards the light. The facial expression, albeit printed in gold, is the same one that we see on many Hermione minifigures. Unfortunately, with the gold version, we do not have a printed face on the reverse. I could compare this to the Hermione we saw on screen, but of course Hermione on screen wasn't gold. Impractical as she may be, she is a nice little collector's item. Speaking of collector's items, this set comes with 2 collectible wizard tiles. Will this be joy or disappointment? Let's just say my expectations are set very low. Having opened a bunch of these sets, I've got 14 tiles and still have 6 characters to collect. Will it ever end? That would be a no. I got another tile featuring famed magizoologist Newt Scamander and Jacunda Sykes, who was the first witch to fly across the Atlantic on a broomstick. Yay! And on that disappointing bombshell, this was set number 76387, Hogwarts Fluffy Encounter from LEGO Harry Potter! For a set that cost 35 quid, I don't think this is great value for money. The minifigures are pretty good, if not totally unique, and Fluffy is great fun to play with. It's at this point I have to remember 8+ is the recommended age range, and not the number of OWLs you need to train a 3-headed dog. Beyond Fluffy and the kids, the set is pretty lackluster. But if you do manage to get a few of these on discount, you'll have an epic Hogwarts castle and a bunch of 3-headed dogs to patrol the grounds. Fluffy and I have to go play catch, but I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. If you did, please drop a thumbs up on the video and subscribe for more LEGO Harry Potter goodness. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and I might just be in the mood for an advent calendar door opening spectacular this year. Thanks a million for checking out the review, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next build video.